This event wants to be an event accessible to all, for all, of all ages, which means that, there I see them, there will be subtitles throughout the whole event to make sure that also people with hearing impairments can follow us. In the future, once we will have more financial means available, we will also make sure that there will be sign interpreters. In any case, for those of you who are following us and have some hearing impairment issues and can read, at the end of this event, I hope that you all together with us will do this. It is the way, in sign language, you clap your hands. So, having said this, I see that the issue has been solved, and I would like to formally start the event this morning. We are really very fortunate to have the opportunity to be here today at the United Nations in New York to discuss a critical matter such as skills and youth with focus on STEM skills, especially young women and girls in STEM that still face some prejudices and inequalities in terms of salary and also leadership positions. Youth is very dear to me, and it is very dear to the United Nations Division for Social Policy and Development in DESA, which is the division I have the honor to lead, since it houses the focal point of view for the whole United Nations system. STEM skills can be key to find or create employment, and also be strategic to achieve peace and promote social policy change and well-being for all people of all ages. And I'm very proud to say that this event on youth in STEM is closed caption, that is with subtitles, to be accessible also to those people who might have some hearing problems. No one has to be left behind, and technology can be a great device in this. This important event that takes place also to celebrate the World Youth Skills Day wants to engage everybody, and member states wanted to be engaged as well. So I'm very honored to have on my side the ambassador representing the permanent mission of Bulgaria, and later on I will introduce them more formally, and the ambassador representing the Republic of San Marino. We will also have in the opening a video message from the Secretary General Envoy on youth and employment, and then we will hear a short message followed by a video message and a trailer from a not-for-profit group that deals with many issues, and they will contribute to the topic of youth in STEM, followed by a panel discussion, very interactive, moderated by a very interesting person we had the pleasure of having last February from Google. And among the speakers there will be other entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, or older ones from major companies or smaller companies, but they all have to share something about how skills, STEM skills, not only, as I said, can contribute to employ people or create employment, but how are young people going to use their skills also to achieve peace, to overcome poverty, because STEM skills can be strategic to overcome poverty, and above all, really to contribute to a positive impact in our societies for the well-being of all. I would like to thank all those who participated and sponsored, from MLC to DPI to the Committee of NGOs supporting the SDGs, and many more. But I will reserve a little bit of space at the very end for the thanking of your presence here. I welcome all of you to watch live this event, online, on the UN Web TV, on YouTube Live, and through Facebook. I would also like to encourage everyone in the room to share the event on their social media to further amplify the reach out of our discussion to all corners of the world. You may also follow directions on how to do so on the screen. And also there are indications and instructions in the folders that you have in front of you. With the power of what is the social media, I think that we can start by literally just having at the finger of our tips a click that makes things happen. So, allow me to welcome again His Excellency the Ambassador Panayotov, Georgi, who is the representative of the permanent nation of Bulgaria here at the United Nations, to give opening remarks. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everybody. Dear Danilo, thank you very much for the warm introduction. And Your Excellency, dear Damiano, distinguished guests, young people between the age of 10 and 24 represent 1/4 of the world's population, thus representing a major human resource for the prosperity of their societies and of the global community in general. Bulgaria believes that children and youth can be the key agents of positive social change and actively promote their human rights and their meaningful participation in all spheres of the social and political life. I would like to acknowledge here the presence of Ms. Ofelia Keneva. She is the President of the State Agency for Child Protection with the Council of Ministers of Bulgaria, who coordinates the implementation of the state policy on children's rights in Bulgaria. The realization of the human rights of children and youth and their empowerment through education and employment is crucial for achieving sustainable development and peaceful and inclusive societies as envisaged in the ambitious 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Lack of quality education and employment constitute major obstacles for young people to realize their full potential and play an active role in their societies. Young people tend to be 3 times more likely than adults to be unemployed. Globally, 1 in 6 young people is without a job and not in education or training. In the last couple of years, the global youth unemployment rate has been decreasing, which is encouraging to see, but it is still way above the pre-crisis level. More young women and men are in education, but the difficulties as regards labor market transition remain. So, how can we resolve this pressing issue? Greater recognition and investment in non-formal education could be a viable solution. Social entrepreneurship is another useful tool to address those challenges in a sustainable way by empowering young people to create job opportunities themselves. Non-formal education and social entrepreneurship are crucial also for the inclusion of young persons with disabilities in the labor market, which in the long run could contribute to reducing the rate of youth unemployment in general. Women and girls face even greater challenges only due to their gender, which fuels unemployment and perpetuates poverty. Progress has been made globally to close the gender gaps in education and labor market participation, but gender differences within education and employment persist. And when it comes to science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, so-called STEM, women continue to be extremely underrepresented, despite the fact that more women graduate from university worldwide than men. The question is, what can we do to get women involved in STEM? I have a very simple answer for that: gender equality. Efforts to ensure women's and girls' participation in STEM should form part of a wider strategy for gender equality in research and innovation that provides for equal access to education, equal employment opportunities, equal pay for equal work, eliminating horizontal and vertical segregation of female scientists in education and professional development, etc. I'd like to share some positive examples from Bulgaria. Women in science represent almost half of all scientists in Bulgaria, 49%, which is among the highest percentages in Europe. The proportion of female BA, MA, and PhD students in Bulgaria is steadily increasing and at present stands at 43%, which is above the average of the European Union. 53% of all doctorate degrees in Bulgaria are awarded to women. With these indicators, Bulgaria is one of the champions in Europe. Gender equality as a basic human right is crucial for sustainable development. Science, on the other hand, is a powerful driver for human rights, poverty eradication, and the protection of the planet. So science and gender equality are both vital for achieving the 2030 agenda. Bulgaria continues to strongly advocate for more substantial involvement of young women and men in the implementation of the agenda and for ensuring youth participation in decision-making at global level, including through the UN Youth Delegate Program. Since 2007, youth delegates have been included in Bulgaria's official delegations to the Third Committee of the General Assembly and to the Commission for Social Development of the Economic and Social Council, and their voices have been heard and taken into consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador, for your opening remarks. And I would like now to thank also another one of the three co-organizers of this event, that is UNIDO, one of our sisters in the United Nations system. And I wish to thank them for having made sure that Mr. Werner Faymann, who is the UN Secretary General Envoy on Youth and Employment, could be with us through a video message. I would like now the video message to be shown. Thank you.
Gentlemen, distinguished guests, it's truly an honor for me to address you today at the occasion of this important event. Youth in science, technology, engineering, and maths for achieving peace and positive social change for all. And a word of appreciation goes to the organizers. The Division of Social Policy and Development, UNIDO, the United for All People, for choosing such a critical topic for the world youth skill today. As well as the permanent mission of the Republic of San Marino and the permanent representation of the Republic of Bulgaria for supporting the event and this important discussion today. I am convinced of the importance of investing in adequate skills development for young women and men, and have therefore always advocated for better skills, for better jobs. The field of science, technology, engineering, mathematics is a crucial source of job creation, particularly for young women and men. The labor market has changed. You need to improve the skills for young people to be equipped with adequate tools, knowledge and skills, both in developed and developing countries, to be able to respond to the increasing complexity of the labor market's demands. Evidence tells that STEM needs to be properly addressed in order for countries to realize the opportunities to provide for inclusive and sustainable development. The traditional view of development that understands social and economic progress as anchored in the structural transformation from agriculture to manufacturing services needs to accommodate the development of the 21st century in ICT, robotics, machinery, and artificial intelligence, and as such make room for the opportunities that STEM provides in an age and gender sensitive manner. Yet, While there is an increase in STEM graduates, worldwide STEM jobs remain unfilled. The good news is that solutions to this prevalent mismatch are in our reach, and this includes ensuring that young women and men have the appropriate skill to succeed in STEM in an equitable manner and strengthen STEM ecosystems with enabling policies and business incentives through comprehensive and holistic cross-sector collaborations. Improving skills development for STEM needs investment in training, in technological infrastructure, in digitalization, as well as increased collaboration between educational institutions at secondary and tertiary levels with the private sector for research and development and for combined studying and working experiences. This will allow us to realize the opportunities that STEM has for job creation, particularly for young women and men. Additionally, an adaptation of cultural attitudes that oftentimes stigmatize STEM as an unattractive field of study and work, especially for women, is crucial to promote STEM as a source jobs for youth and thus as an enabler for inclusive and sustainable development. Skills development for STEM needs to be inclusive and accessible for all. This includes supporting women and minorities in STEM and developing technological infrastructure for indigenous communities. In fact, while young women and girls might be encouraged to enroll in STEM-related studies, the labor market might not provide equivalent incentives to seek employment and STEM-related jobs. As it has been discussed in our panel today, there are already a number of integrated and functional partnerships, both with the private sector and civil society organizations and young entrepreneurs themselves that are achieving evident positive impact, but more needs to be done. It is remarkable, in fact, what young entrepreneurs working in STEM are achieving in terms of innovation, but also in terms of peer-to-peer support by supporting and employing these peers. But most importantly, in responding to today's local and global challenge in a sustainable and inclusive manner. Social entrepreneurs, a growing movement, particularly among young women and men, are committed to creating positive social impact. And this has an impact on all the SDGs. While we notice that social entrepreneurship is not fully recognized enough by the international community and international policymakers, and therefore doesn't receive sufficient support, we are aware of the contribution young social entrepreneurs are providing to the world. Studies have shown that social entrepreneurs are more resilient and they tend to create more sustainable employment opportunities in the long term. Young social entrepreneurs in STEM are not exception, and by improving social and economical participation, enterprises and social enterprises led by young women and men contribute to social and economic justice and thereby contribute to increased resilience of communities and to strengthen peace and prosperity for all. I commend the offered efforts of the United Nations and its partners for their admirable work in supporting young women and men in STEM, in strengthening the skills of young job seekers and collaborating with industries and the private sector for increased equal opportunities. And finally, in recognizing and supporting social entrepreneurs in their quest to achieve the SDGs. These efforts are critical for the improvement of decent job opportunities for youth in an inclusive and gender-balanced manner, in light of new technological developments and innovative trends. Thank you very much. I wish you all the best.
We thank very much the Secretary General Envoy on Youth and Employment, Mr. Warner Weimann. who served also as the Federal Chancellor of the Republic of Austria. And thanks again to UNIDO. And then I would like to have the third of the three co-organizers share with us their thoughts. And this will be United for All Peoples. Please, the floor is yours.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, United for All Peoples UP is very proud to be with the SPD, DESA, and UNIDO, one of the three organizers of this important event. UP thanks also co-sponsors, Permanent Mission of Bulgaria and Permanent Mission of San Marino, and the participating NGOs and the supporters. My name is Dominika Jacques, and I have the honor to introduce the video of the Director of Art and Design of UP and the video trailer. Thank you.
I see that the technician is trying to prepare the next video to be watched. I suppose it's going to be watched through YouTube. Can I have a sign from the technician where he's going to
Il existe une offre croissante dans les emplois liés à la STEM et les possibilités de carrière pour les jeunes dans toutes les industries. Alors, pourquoi existe-t-il un tel écart entre les sexes dans l'industrie STEM? Chers tous, United for All People a, tel que nous l'appelons, est heureux de célébrer la Journée mondiale des compétences des jeunes avec vous tous, avec un accent particulier sur les jeunes femmes et les filles. UP est heureux d'organiser avec la Division des politiques sociales et du développement des Nations Unies, au département des affaires économiques et sociales, l'événement sur les jeunes dans les milieux STEM, mettant en évidence le rôle que les jeunes dotés de compétences STEM peuvent jouer pour parvenir à une paix durable et un changement social positif pour tous. Nous souhaitons également exprimer notre reconnaissance pour la participation des missions permanentes des ONG comme DPI et MNC, le secteur privé et les universités, mais surtout les jeunes. La perspective de UP, United for All People, est d'avoir des sociétés inclusives pour le bien-être, la prospérité et le bonheur pour tous les peuples. Nous croyons que vivre dans la prospérité est une aspiration universelle et l'emploi de la jeunesse est une des clés. L'emploi des jeunes est une question cruciale pour l'éradication de la pauvreté dans le monde entier et nécessite des efforts collectifs menés par les décideurs et soutenus par le secteur privé, la société civile et le milieu universitaire. Quel choix ferez-vous lorsque vous partez d'ici aujourd'hui? Le secteur privé utilisera-t-il les compétences STEM des jeunes pour offrir des possibilités d'emploi? Est-ce que vous, les jeunes, irez valoriser vos compétences STEM pour trouver des façons novatrices et transformatrices afin de promouvoir un changement social positif? Ou irez-vous retourner à la routine habituelle? Concernant UP, vous connaissez notre réponse.
We thank very much United for All Peoples and Ms. Buyatti for this video message. And now we are going to move to the second part of this event, which is going to be very interactive. We have many panelists that are going to be introduced, and the panel is going to be moderated by Hibab Kamal Grayson, who is a person I had the pleasure to meet last February. She also intervened during one of our events during the Commission for Social Development. In her capacity as a senior public policy analyst of Google, she came here today, but now you are going to be the moderator. Please make it lively. Those who are watching at us from other parts of the world, please interact, tweet, ask questions, and these questions will be then shared with the panelists and also with the honorable ambassadors and me, if you wish. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you to everybody here in this room and to everybody watching online, and thank you to Ms. Daniela Bass and her team for their dedication to exploring how we can all work together to ensure that technology fosters a more peaceful and prosperous world. Thank you also to UNIDO, United for All Peoples, the permanent mission of the Republic of San Marino, the permanent mission of the Republic of Bulgaria, and the UN for making sure that this issue doesn't get lost, in the dialogue, and making sure that we keep talking about this because there is a lot of work that still needs to be done. So as Ms. Voss noted, I work at Google. So it's not surprising to a lot of you that I do honestly believe in the power of technology to change our life and to change our world for the better. But still, we at Google are very aware that there's no magic solution for all of these issues, and that all of us in this room, students, young people like you, everyone who's watching right now, governments, other companies, nonprofits, educational institutions, we are all going to have to come together to ensure that everyone in the world has the skills and opportunities needed to use technology to improve their lives and to create the sort of resilient communities that some of our speakers have discussed. So I'm really excited to be here today. The amount of talent and experience on this panel is a little intimidating. It's incredible. And what I want to do today is to really think about what concrete steps all of us on this panel and all of you in this room can take to address this issue. Because despite all of our amazing technological advances, it's true that, as other speakers have said, 1 billion people still live in poverty. And that includes a lot of young people and a lot of potential that is, to be very frank, being wasted right now because people don't have access to the skills and to the technologies that they need. So that's a truly staggering number. And what I want to do today is to think about how we can all come together and inspire and encourage young people to develop and to use STEM skills to make our world more prosperous and more peaceful. So I've talked enough. Without further ado, I want to introduce our incredible panelists. I'll be honest, when I was trying to, when I was reading all the bios, I was so overwhelmed by all of the accomplishments on this panel that to keep it a little interactive, I would actually love it if our panelists could introduce themselves. We can start with you, Melissa, and maybe a couple of things that you find most important because your bio is incredible.
Excellent. So my name is Melissa Sassy, and I come to you today from several different capacities. So I work in Microsoft's Affordable Access Initiative team. I am not sure if anyone has had a chance to see our news this week. We're very, very excited about it. We've recently made a commitment as Microsoft to connect more people in rural America to the internet. And naturally, it's not just about Microsoft, as you mentioned. It's a multi-stakeholder approach, and we all need to work together to solve not just skill building, but also access to the internet, access to physical devices, access to the skills that young people, that all of us in the room need to really transform our lives through technology. So I come to you from the Microsoft perspective. I also come to you from academia. So I'm also a woman working on my PhD. And my focus is on really exploring a number of different things, meaning digital inclusion specifically in North Africa, which is where my family lives. I spend a significant amount of time traveling in North Africa and the Middle East, where in my spare time beyond my Microsoft world, I run a nonprofit called Mentor Nations. It's 100% youth-led, and the majority of all of the people involved in our work are not just sharing their skills forward, but also learning how to become tomorrow's leaders. Dia, my country manager in Tunisia, comes from a place in Tunisia where there's upward of 57% unemployment. 57%. And these are engineers, someone who followed the rules, someone who went to engineering school, learned the skills that he or she was supposed to learn in school, and still hasn't found a job. And so we're working in country to really identify ways to improve youth unemployment, not just in Tunisia, but in Bangladesh and Pakistan and other countries from around the world. I also looked at all the bios, amazing, and I know I've talked enough about myself.
Yeah, if we could just go down and keep it brief, just who you are and a couple of your accomplishments that you think are most important. So next we have Zach Sims, who's the co-founder and CEO of Code Academy. Incredible. Zach, a couple things that you think everyone should know about you.
Sure. All right, my name is Zach Sims. I'm the co-founder and CEO of a company called Code Academy. Code Academy teaches about 25 million people around the world technology skills and helps them find jobs. We do that online, interactively, and in a way that doesn't take up a lot of bandwidth. So we work with a bunch of national governments around the world, including the UK, Brazil, Argentina, a couple others, in order to promote access to STEM skills for youth. And then we work with a large percentage of our learners around the world to help them stay active in the job market and acquire technology skills to gain employment.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Next we have Tracy Chu, who is the co-founder of Project Include, an organization that I really admire.
So my name is Tracy. I'm a software engineer. I'm a software engineer by training, by profession. I have degrees in electrical engineering, computer science, so this issue of STEM education is one that's obviously very close to me. I have previously worked at companies such as Google, Facebook, or most recently at Pinterest. My work with Project Include, which I co-founded last year, is focused on diversity and inclusion in the tech industry with a focus on startups. So in recent years, we've seen a lot more attention on this subject and more of a drive towards making some change. And the founding impetus for Project Include was to help guide some of that change and write down some best practices, create a handbook of recommendations and resources, and really help to drive greater inclusivity, comprehensive solutions, and accountability through metrics for change in the tech sector.
That's fantastic. Oh. Thank you so much, Tracy. Next, we have Kelly Lavelle. She is a youth mobilizer and CEO of Lavelle Corporation and My Effect Inc. She's incredibly accomplished. A couple things that you think people should know.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kelly Lavelle. As a youth mobilizer, my work focuses on bridging the gap between youth, private sector, and public. That takes two forms. One, helping mentor youth themselves and spotlight the talents through peer-empowered messages. Most recently, we finished a project called The Power of Youth that features 200 youth in 59 countries, ages 6 to 29, who are changing the world. Secondly to that, I'm CEO of My Effect Inc., which is a big data company that looks to use self-adaptive computing and blockchain to track skills that youth earn through volunteering to help them differentiate and improve their employment by showing things beyond just their education. And so growth in STEM is a popular topic that I'm very passionate about. Thank you.
That's fantastic and truly incredible. Thank you, Kelly. Next, we have Ms. Marina von Schlegel. She's the Executive Director of Embassy 2.0. A couple things you think folks should know?
Excellent. First of all, thank you all for having me. Sengitami. This is good morning in my family's language from the Tewa Pueblos of northern New Mexico. I work in technology policy advisement and capacity building, mostly in emerging markets. But I was also the first Latina in the United States to own and operate a technology incubator. I built my first startup out of my dorm room at age 19 in PHP as a self-taught programmer, and experienced a lot of the challenges in the ecosystem of not having that support that you do need to collectively build, not only here in the US, but in every emerging market and for women everywhere. I also currently have a project called Indigenous Labs. We are working to create a virtualized skill-based workforce ecosystem for Indigenous youth that will also be scalable for markets with remote workforces and include a lot of these individuals who are not currently being included. So approaching the qualitative aspects in addition to policy and content. Thank you.
Fantastic, thank you so much. And finally, we have Ms. Carol Kennedy, who is works at Manhattan Multicultural Consulting, and she's a consultant there. And she'll serve as our discussant today, and has prepared a statement. So if you would like to go forth with that, that would be great. Yes. I'm very interested in everything that